So today I'm going to take you through how to make our very simple yet very effective arch light or leap light, if you will. Before we do that, I just want to say a huge thank you. We've never made tech content for YouTube before and we're quite happy with how it's going. We've only done a few videos and the response has been absolutely fantastic, but please remember we are very new to this, so any comments, queries or suggestions will be very helpful in helping us improve what we are doing. We've taken comments from the last video and hopefully this one will be much better. Also, please note we tend to put most of our projects, including bespoke items and requested items, on our social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram as we go along. You can also find everything on MakerWorld, where all of our projects on there are always free for personal use. So thank you, and let's get into this one. So the idea behind the leap light is that you can use it when doing things such as painting models or priming models. We do quite a lot of priming with our models, and we find that dead spots in light can be real detrimental to making sure we achieve the correct finish. We've also seen them being used for things such as painting nails, displaying items, and generally just having them around when a good all-round need of light over something you're doing is needed. The one we're going to show you today is our 5-volt version. This is a very simple one to make. It can be powered by any simple USB-C or USB-A plug. However, we also produce quite a few of the 12-volt versions for this. This will increase the brightness, but it does require 12-volt output. Most USB-A and USB-C standard outputs won't give you this. So if you are going to go for the 12-volt version, please make sure you are using a power delivery or a 12-volt capable power bank to ensure it works for one, and that you are giving the correct brightness to your LEDs. Now, you don't have to do it the way we do it today. This is just going to guide you through the 5-volt system. Please bear in mind that what you can do instead of fitting switches and stuff like that is you can just cut and splice your USB cable that comes with the lights we will link down below. We will link a 5-volt and a 12-volt version, and you can just power it directly through the hole via the USB cable. The reason we like to use switches and we like to use ports is it just gives it a cleaner, more professional, more finished look. I also have something at the end of this video I would like to discuss in regards to ordering 3D printed parts off the internet, as we were offered the chance to work with somebody to do this project and it did not go very well. So let's jump straight into making this. So the files are set out on MakerWorld. A link is in the description down below. Now there are two ways in which you can print this. We've given you the entire arch piece, so as 4 separate pieces, or we've split it down for people who don't wish to use supports and things like that, or generally just have a smaller printer. This has been designed to be printed on a standard A1 or P1S. However, any 3D printer with the same build volume of 256 by 256 by 256 will enable you to print this. So first thing you're going to need is to get your stuff together. I always start with a cup of tea and then I start getting my things out. You'll need a selection of cable joiners or spring connectors, some high viscosity glue and activator, and again all this will be listed on MakerWorld, a set of M3 nuts, M3 heated inserts. This is optional, by the way, you don't actually have to use the inserts, but there they are. Something to clean up the edge, such as a reaming tool, a simple screwdriver or an iFixit kit, some cable strippers. Again, these aren't necessary, but they make life so much easier. Some rubber feet to make sure it sits nicely on the ground when made, and a simple 20mm rocker switch and USB-C port, again all linked below. And your lights of choice, whether 5-volt or 12-volt. I'm going to show you the 5-volt system today. The 12-volt system is no different, apart from making sure that the power delivery you are using supports 12-volt. And a soldering iron should you wish to use the heated inserts. As for the printed parts themselves, make sure you're happy with the quality. We have both sides here. We have the inserts to hold everything together. We have the base plate for the bottom of the main piece. We have the arches themselves and the diffusers. Now, we don't recommend using the diffusers in the 5-volt system, but we will fit them today to show you because they can dull the light slightly. If you're not used to printing in clear, then I suggest you just leave these out. If you are using the 12-volt system, use the diffusers. They are very thin, very simple to fit. They just slide into place. Remember to print them in transparent. Everything we printed here today is made from PETG. Remove all the supports that come with the print, and ensure that your bottom piece fits nicely onto the main control. At this point, I will go ahead, fit your rocker switch and your USB port just to make sure that they fit together nicely. They should slot in quite well. If you have any tolerance issues or anything with your printer, use the reaming tool just to take tiny little bits off until they fit snug. And you can take this opportunity to fit the heated inserts so you can add the bottom plate later. You can just glue the bottom plate on, however, if you do need to do maintenance, you are going to find it very tricky, so we do suggest using heated inserts. They are very simple to use. Just pop them onto the holes, make sure you've removed any supports, take your soldering iron and push them in very gently until they sit just below the surface. Take this opportunity as well to add the rubber feet to enable stability whilst you are building the rest. They are self-adhesive, so they should go on quite easily. Then we can prep the arch pieces themselves. What you want to do is just take 2 dowels and stick them into the ends of 3 pieces. One being the piece with the cutout, so you can allow the cables to pass through. Any 2 other pieces, but leave one of them completely empty. I do make the mistake here of filling them all. Don't make the mistake I do. The reason why we don't put dowels in the ends of them all is because one has to sit flush at the very end and one has to sit flush at the start. Use high viscosity glue, and I wouldn't recommend using the activator here because you need to wiggle these a little bit to make sure they get in. Put glue on the dowels and on the edges just to make sure it fits together nicely. The type of glue I use absolutely solders these together and keeps them sturdy, firm, and they will not come apart. Okay, at this point, I'm going to take you through the simple wiring setup. So here is a diagram of how you need to set the wiring up on the inside. Now, you may wish to do this with 2 USB strips. I do what I'll call a run back, so I'll run the LED strip right the way out on the arch, turn it round and bring it back. You may wish to just run 2 pieces straight from the one side and cut them at the other end. Both totally fine. Both require pretty much the same thing. This is the diagram for the running the rumps. This is the diagram for the run back, so 1 strip, 1 connection. You might want to pause it here and have a look, but I will put this in the Maker World description as well. This is the diagram for how to wire the 2 runs. I'll also leave instructions and information on how to do 5 volt and 12 volt, how to avoid switches and everything like that, all in the Maker World description. So be sure to go over there and check it out. The bonus of using things like spring connectors is it means we don't require any soldering or anything like that. They're just clipped together, they're very cheap, very simple and very easy to use, and should you have any issues in future, you can just unclip and go again. Again, make sure all your connections are nice and strong, loose wires are not good here, and take the opportunity, once you've connected it all up, to plug in a USB-C power, flick the switch and make sure everything is working as it should. Once we've done that, we're going to start assembling the arch itself. Start with the piece with the cutout. This allows the LEDs to be passed through. Pop it into place and make sure it fits before you pop glue in here. You don't want to have any cables or anything in the way. Then glue the edges. Use high viscosity glue just on the inside, and then when you pop it in, give it a nice firm press. I do want to put a word of warning here that whilst you can use activator spray like I do here, I've been using activator spray for many years, so I know how quick it works, I know how to deal with it. However, if you are new to activator spray, it goes off very quickly. You cannot separate the parts once it's gone off without serious damage. So, if you're new to this, type of glue, don't use the activator spray. Just glue it, stick this part together, wait 15 minutes, then move on to the next part. Yes, it takes longer, but it gives you that extra few seconds, crucial time, just to wiggle things around and make sure they work. Now, if you're fitting diffusers because you have a 12 volt system, this is the moment where you're going to want to fit your LED strips because you'll need to fit the diffusers per panel as we go along. I did think about doing magnetic ones here, but we ended up with a few problems and decided not to do it in the end. So take your strip here, okay, and this is if you're going to do the dual strips as well, because once the diffuser's in, you're going to find it very hard to run back. So again, I actually don't use the diffusers in any of my versions of this, but you know, it is up to you whether you want to or not. So start by sticking it down, use a small amount of glue as you go, just to make sure, because some of these Chinese companies, when they produce these lights, yes, they're self-adhesive, but once they get warm, they tend to loosen up. So little dabs of glue here and there will make sure it stays in place. The diffuser will slide on. As you can see here, it is clear, so it does just slide right on, like so, and there you have it. Nice and diffused, but you'd need to do your 2 runs here, and you can see how perfect it is. Okay, again, this gives you the chance to test out the lights, and you'll see here, doing a 5-volt version, it does dim the lights slightly. Not crazy, but it does dim them enough for me to not use a diffuser. Now, they are thin, they are clear, but honestly, 5-volt versions wouldn't bother. The 12-volt versions are significantly brighter, but for what I do with primering and things like that, I generally enjoy the 5-volt versions more. It gives me a much more subtle light to see where I've gone wrong or where I need to improve things while I'm working along. It is then just a simple case of working your way along. Get the next arch piece, pop it into place. Dead simple. Again, don't use activator, just tap it in nicely, run the LED strip along, and then fit the diffuser if you're using it. And as you get to the end, you'll see here I made the mistake of having dowels in the end piece. You don't want that, so make sure they're not in when you come to it, because they'll sit too proud out of the support on the other side. So once you get to the end, pop the base on. Again, just make sure it fits nicely before you put the glue in. Then add some high viscosity glue again. Finish making sure your LED strip's in. If you're doing the run back, this is the point where you will run the LED strip the whole way back. Make sure you are using the correct length. I didn't have the correct length here, so I ended up joining another piece onto it. Not something I'm going to ask you to do. I'll make sure I leave links for the correct length, and not a lot of people are confident at joining LED strips together anyway. You can see me here just testing the light with a model. And that's it. You can see super simple, super easy, very simple project, but really, really effective. And again, I just want to thank you all for coming along and joining us on the journey for starting this channel. We are obviously not just 3D printing, we do a lot of stuff, but I want to make sure you understand that we're not going to post videos every day or every week. We're going to post videos as we have a project that we think you will like. We have some really fantastic upcoming projects. We have claw machines, vending machines, giant gumball machines, pinball machines, different types of arcades and stuff like that. And we love creating things like that. And when we do it, we'll produce videos, we'll show you our errors, we'll show you what to do, what not to do, we'll give you variations, and we'll always try and give as much advice as possible. Again, you can see progress pictures, polls and upcoming ideas and things by checking out our social media channels. Links will be down below. And I just want to thank you. We weren't expecting to get to that magic 1,000 subscriber number so fast. We really appreciate that everyone liked the last video, and we hope that you continue to like what we put out. Thank you for stopping by. Please, any questions, even if we've done something wrong here, we would love to hear from you, because we all learn together as a community. So thank you very much. Happy printing, and we hope you enjoy the project. There is just one more thing I want to say here, but you can tune out at this point if you don't order 3D print stuff online. So, before we started this project, we actually were approached several times by a very well-known international 3D printing company. They do other things, but I'm not going to mention names here because I've agreed not to. This is just a general warning. They offered to print the parts for this and to work in collaboration with us, saying, you know, parts provided by blah, blah, blah. They did print the parts, and I just want to say I got a shock when going through the ordering system with them and things, that they would have charged just short of, with delivery, $400 and something just to get this delivered. Bear in mind, this is less than, you know, this isn't even, it's like a roll of filament. It's nothing. What shocked me most wasn't that, because not everyone wants to do 3D printing. People might just, you know, people might have money to burn and want to pay that. I would never pay that, because for the price of ordering these, you could buy a printer, print them, and still have the printer. But, you know, putting that aside, the problem we had was the quality of what they sent. Now, I was absolutely baffled. I sent them images straight away when they arrived. They sent me this project destroyed, right? They absolutely just, I don't know where they come off saying that they're professional 3D printers. The scarring from support removals was unreal. The chips, the dints in things, the actual tolerances were not correct. They tried to have a look at blaming my files. Then the support pieces on each end were split right down the middle, where they hadn't bothered to actually look at how these things should be printed. They'd just taken the STL files and made them the way they think they should be printed, and they were appalling. The tolerances were wrong and everything. So to prove them wrong, as I do, I printed the exact files I sent them on a simple Bamboo Labs A1 printer, which is what you see in front of you here, and they came out just fine. Very few tweaks, very little tweaks. So use my 3MF files, and please be very careful on what you order online. We ended up having a falling out over it because I refused to use their product in my videos. I refused to use their product full stop. I think it was unbelievably poor quality, so please be careful who you order from. You'll probably find these massive companies, they just mass produce garbage and just to get it out. Find yourself a good local, if you want to make something bespoke, find yourself a good local 3D printer. You know, they're everywhere now. You might find one, you'll find one within your county or within your region, and generally people like that, they love what they do. You know, it's not just about pushing crap out of a factory. Find someone that really enjoys it, speak to them, and get your things made properly if it's not something you want to learn to do yourself. But anyway, rant over. I just really wanted to give you a word of warning because this project should have been out weeks ago. Unfortunately, this caused a few delays. So next project from me, I don't know, it'll probably be out within a month or two. Like I said, I'm not rushing these videos. I really want them to come out. I like my projects. Not all projects end up on YouTube, so, you know, follow us on Maker World and stuff, and you'll see various little things pop up as well as big things as we go. Again, sorry about the rant, but very important that you see it. So thank you, and we will catch you next time.